Chosen ones, 7 supernatural reasons to guard your spirit in the divine final days of August. In the heart of a quaint English village, August dawned with an eerie chill, as if the heavens were holding their breath. Sarah, a devoted single mother and pillar of her church community, felt the weight of a divine message pressing upon her spirit. Something was coming. A hushed urgency clung to her, like morning mist, the kind of feeling that stirs when God is about to move among his people. The trials ahead may be daunting, but here we are chosen, she whispered softly in prayer. As Sarah gathered her closest friends in her cozy living room, the atmosphere turned electric. A sudden gust of wind rattled the windows, and with it came the first miracle. Grace, a neighbor thought to be bedridden for years, stumbled through the door, her eyes shimmering with life. "I can walk. I am healed," she proclaimed, hands raised, testimony bursting forth like spring flowers. Gasps echoed. Warmth washed over the room. Each breath seemed charged with power, infusing their prayer with mystical intensity. From beyond, dark clouds gathered, forming curious shapes, abundant angels heralded by flickers of light that danced within and among them. The very air thickened with a sense of purpose. "Look up!" someone cried out. Indeed, they witnessed the skies turning vibrant hues, a canvas revealing promises painted in divine strokes. Hope began to blossom in their hearts like wildflowers after the rain, knitting together their fractured spirits. Before they could fully grasp the enormity of what was unfolding, a loud knock jolted them. A prominent skeptic from the parish, Timothy, harshly stepped in, his voice cutting through the atmosphere like a storm. "This is nothing more than coincidence. You think prayer will save you? Rely on medical science, embrace rationality." His words reverberated, planting seeds of doubt among Sarah's friends. Whispers arose, and uncertainty crackled in the air like static. Sarah struggled. Was the miracle merely a trick of the light? Her heart sank beneath the tidal wave of disbelief. Yet within her, a flickering flame of faith resisted extinguishing. Just then, a figure cloaked in shimmering white appeared at the threshold, a priest, an embodiment of heavenly grace. "The test you face is a sacred invitation to rise," he declared, a message of divine urgency unfurling in the room, igniting hope anew. "Your sufferings are stepping stones to greater blessings." Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the spirit of excitement rekindled, they sought to embrace their divine purpose, yet doubt loomed, heavy shadows hanging like storm clouds. Would they stand united as the chosen ones, or crumble under skepticism? The final days of August loomed ahead with a test of faith drawing near. As Sarah stared into the eyes of her friends, the air thickened with expectation. "We are not just witnesses. We are partakers in his will," she exclaimed, her heart racing with fervor. The village hung in a precipice of spiritual awakening. Would they guard their hearts and allow the divine to transform this moment? Or would a darkened disbelief shatter the miracles unfolding before them? The answer lay just beyond the horizon of faith, waiting for them to take the next step. The urgency surged, and they braced themselves for whatever came next. As the priest's words echoed around the room, a collective breath was drawn in, the sound vibrating with both reverence and vulnerability. Timid hearts began to quiet, yet uncertainty still lingered, dancing like shadows along the edges of their faith. They had witnessed the miraculous, grace-esque resurrection to walking, the dazzling colors in the sky, blessings that felt beyond comprehension. But Timothy's presence loomed large, a storm cloud suffocating their collective resolve. "Faith is not blind, it is an anchor," Sarah declared, her voice resonating with newfound conviction. She had always believed that faith anchored them against life's tempests, and now it was time to prove it. Looking around, she could see flickers of belief in her friend's eyes. We've seen what God can do. Let us open our hearts wider. Let our faith be louder than doubt. As the group rallied, the light began to shift. A gentle warmth spread through their hearts. Each soul present was reminded of the power resting within unity. They were never alone. In quiet confidence, they formed a circle, reaching for each other's hands, ready to face the storm together. "Let us pray," Sarah urged, squeezing the hand surrounding hers. "Let us ask for clarity, for strength to overcome, for guidance through the tumult ahead." They closed their eyes, and the room settled into a spirit of sacred silence. A whispering wind wrapped around them, filling the space with an inexplicable peace. Sarah felt her chest swell with hope, and as their voices harmonized, rising in prayer, the atmosphere transformed. Each word banished shadows, pulling light from the heavens like delicate threads, weaving a tapestry of divine connection. Suddenly, a bright flash illuminated the room. Timothy stood, rooted in uncertainty. The air around him crackled with energy, a tapestry woven from both doubt and awe. He looked around, absorbing the hope pulsating in the room. Sarah's warm encouragement, Grace's radiant confidence, and the priest's compelling words filled his heart with a strange desire to believe. Yet, the shadows of hesitance lingered, as relentless as a tide. "Timothy," Sarah said, her voice gentle but firm, like a light drawing him in, "what is it that holds you back? Do you not feel this presence? This love?" He felt their eyes on him, curiosity mingled with expectation. Timothy's mind raced, ticking like a clock against a backdrop of silence. For years, he had built walls around his faith, fortified with skepticism. But what if this is all just wishful thinking, he wondered. The concept of miracles had felt distant, a cherished belief for others, but an unshakable stone for him. Yet, beyond those doubts, there was a yearning, a whisper that pierced through the noise. At that moment, he saw Grace shining, her smile an invitation to something profound. "Maybe there's more to this than I've allowed myself to see," he thought, curiosity nudging at his heart. The priest stepped closer, his presence commanding yet humble. "Faith is a journey, Timothy. It calls on us to step beyond the edge of our understanding. It asks us to be brave," he declared, the warmth of his voice enveloping everyone like a soft blanket. Timothy's heart fluttered, like the first rays of dawn brushing against night's hold. Could it be? Could this faith be an unexpected path to freedom? Feeling his resolve quiver, he muttered softly, "But I've wrestled with doubt for so long, how do I begin?" "By taking that first step," Grace replied, her eyes shining with encouragement. "It's about embracing the unknown and allowing his light to guide you." In that moment, Timothy felt the prayers of his friends wrapped around him like a shield. A stirring took hold within him, igniting faith where fertile soil had lain dormant. He hesitated no longer. He took a deep breath, feeling his chest rise in a wave of courage. "I want to try," Timothy said, his voice barely above a whisper but filled with determination. "I want to believe." As those words left his lips, the golden light intensified, illuminating their surroundings with a warmth that deepened their bonds. It washed over Timothy, sweeping the cobwebs of doubt aside. There was a palpable shift in the gathering, an unspoken agreement that they were stepping into uncharted territory together. The priest raised his hands, inviting them all into a deeper revelation. "Let us pray together as one body. Let us ask for the gift of faith to carry us through uncertainty." Voices lifted in harmony, uniting in prayer with fervor. Timothy sensed a power he had only dreamt of, coursing through him and into the connections established in that circle. As their petitions blended and rose like a fragrant offering, the room pulsed with energy. Each heart beat in rhythm with hope, each prayer a lifeline cast into the vast unknown. In that sacred moment, Timothy no longer felt alone. The shadows that had once dominated his mind began to fade before the brilliance of newfound faith. His spirit soared toward heightening possibilities. He was stepping into the light, but what lay ahead was still veiled in divine mystery. Just as the prayers reached a crescendo, the once stable ground beneath them felt like it shifted. Whispers of change slipped through the air like secrets beckoning to be uncovered. Would they discover the depths of their faith in the days to come? Would the miracles continue? As the gathered souls stood poised for what the future would unfold, Timothy felt the pulsing heart of the divine blessing them all. In that instant, a question lingered unspoken. What more could they uncover together if they dared to explore the depths of their faith? In the aftermath of their collective prayer, the atmosphere remained electric with anticipation. Timothy could feel the warmth settling like a gentle fog around him, a comforting embrace that seemed to echo with promises yet unspoken. He stood among his friends, each face glowing with the light of hope and possibility, the kind that often felt elusive, but now seemed as tangible as the air they breathed. Grace leaned closer to him, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Did you feel that?" she whispered, her voice laced with awe. Timothy nodded, finding it hard to put into words the weight and buoyancy that clung to him like a cloak of assurance. The feeling was weirdly familiar, yet new, like stepping into a familiar room only to find it transformed by sunlight streaming through open windows. "Faith can shift everything," the priest declared, raising his arms again. "It allows us to see beyond the veil of reality, to glimpse all that God has prepared for us." His words resonated deeply within Timothy, each syllable a gentle nudge toward surrender and trust. Timothy felt a longing swell inside him, urging him forward. As the group settled into silence once more, a cool breeze wafted through the open windows, stirring the delicate scent of wildflowers and freshly cut grass that lingered in the air. Timothy realized how alive everything felt at that moment: the rustle of leaves, the distant laughter of children playing outside. Everything seemed attuned to a holy vibration. "Can we ask for a sign?" Sarah's voice pierced through the stillness. The earnestness in her tone sparked Timothy's curiosity. "A sign to show us that faith takes shape in ways we can't always see?" Silence wrapped around them like a blanket as they pondered her request, each heartbeat a reminder of their collective hope. "Yes," Timothy spoke, the words tumbling forth with a vigor he hadn't anticipated. "Let us ask. We're on this journey together. Let us seek to know the depths of what faith can offer." A ripple of agreement washed over the group, a shared sense of purpose igniting in their hearts. The priest, sensing the unfolding momentum, encouraged them. "Let us pray, not just for a sign, but for clarity. That God would reveal the next steps on our journey, revealing his love in unexpected ways." Again, they bowed their heads, voices rising with intention. Timothy felt the warmth envelop him once more. But this time, something deeper was unfolding. He sensed the air thickening, ripe with an otherworldly presence. Then, as the last echo of their prayer faded into quietness, a sudden chill raced through the room, a stark contrast to the warmth they had shared. It sent shivers along Timothy's spine. A fleeting sensation of fear tugged at him, yet he stood firm amidst the shifting energies. "What was that?" he inquired, glancing around at the faces of his friends. The looks of uncertainty mirrored his own heart, and their earlier confidence seemed to stumble. "I don't know," Grace said softly, her brow furrowed. "But I feel something. It's as if like the veil between us and something greater just thinned." Timothy finished, his heart quickening. For the first time, he felt a tremor of true clarity mingling with the fear, a warning yet tinged with a promise. God was preparing to reveal something they were not yet ready for. As they exchanged glances, Timothy grasped the reality dawning before them. What this sign would be, he could not fathom. A divine unearthing that might not align with their expectations. But he sensed the importance of remaining open and receptive to whatever was to come. In that moment, A divine pull beckoned them to lean in closer, a mystery yet to be unraveled. Together, they prepared, anchored by the promise of faith and guided by the unmistakable flame of hope. What if this is just the beginning of a profound revelation? Timothy wondered aloud, his heart pounding in harmony with the rising tide of anticipation. The question spun through the air, hanging there as they stood on the brink of the extraordinary. What awaited them in their quest for signs of the divine? Would they embrace this journey into the unknown with open hearts? The room pulsed with an energy that felt both thrilling and unnerving. Timothy could hardly breathe. Every heart in this circle shared a yearning to discover the next steps along a path illuminated by faith. He felt the knot in his stomach tighten. Anticipation wove itself into the very fabric of their gathering. Maybe we should focus our thoughts together, Sarah suggested, her voice steady among the rising tension. What if we visualized our hope? What might that look like? Timothy nodded, the idea capturing his imagination. A beautiful garden? He proposed, where each flower represents a different prayer or desire. Grace's eyes sparkled with understanding. Yes, and each bloom should remind us of God's promise. Colorful and vibrant, just like his love for us. The group began to draw inward, crafting a mental image of this garden, a sanctuary nurtured by their prayers, hopes, and dreams. Soft smiles emerged, replacing the earlier anxiety. Timothy felt a wave of warmth wash over him, as if the sweet fragrance of blooming petals enveloped them. Let us lift our hands, the priest encouraged, his voice soothing yet powerful. Let us dedicate this garden to God. May it flourish, reflecting our deepest longings and the grace he offers. They closed their eyes, hands raised, hearts open. In that moment, Timothy could almost hear the whisper of divine rustle, the soft sound of growth, of blossoming. It was vibrant, full of life. Yet, the moment was abruptly interrupted by another chill, darker this time, creeping into the warm space they had carefully cultivated. Timothy's heart raced, driving the vision from his mind. Why is it getting cold again? He asked, flinging his eyes open to search for reassurance in his friends' faces. I think it might be more than just a chill, Grace whispered, fear lacing her voice. Her expression mirrored the weight that pressed against Timothy's heart. Is it a warning? Sarah breathed, a tremor echoing in her tone. Maybe something wants to be seen, to step into our garden? The priest's brow furrowed, his eyes scanning the room like a watchful sentinel. Feelings of fear and wonder often coexist in the presence of the holy. We must remain vigilant, anchored in love. Timothy's mind whirled with questions. What had been revealed? Was it a challenge to their faith, or a gentle nudge towards the extraordinary? He sensed that the divine mystery was straining to break free and enter their awareness. Let us ask for protection, Timothy said, voice stronger now. Protection over our spirits as we tread further into this. If God is revealing something, we need his strength. As they united in this new prayer, an invisible thread gathered around them, binding their hearts and spirits with a fierce resolve. Together, they drew strength from the quiet confidence of shared devotion. The chill receded just enough to allow a sliver of warmth to return, a glimpse of light breaking through the darkness. But it felt precarious, a dance on the edge of uncertainty. I feel like we're being tested, Sarah murmured, eyes still closed. Then again, that's when true faith shines, when we face what is hidden. Timothy thought of the garden they envisioned. The garden thrived with exposure to sunlight, but also needed rain to grow. Perhaps the chill was that very rain of force that would nurture their faith and bring new life. As their prayer echoed into the space around them, a hush fell that felt sacred. For a fleeting moment, they sensed that something shifting in the air, alive and stirring. What would reveal itself from the depths of their hope? What divine bearing awaited them beyond this moment of surrender? With hearts leaning into the mystery, Timothy found comfort in the uncertainty. They stood ready to accept whatever God had in store. And with each breath, a question bloomed: what would they find if they continued to seek? What awaited them in this unfolding journey, just on the edge of revelation? The air thickened with an intensity that was almost palpable. Timothy, still feeling the warmth of shared prayer, sensed something profound wanting to emerge. With every heartbeat, the chill surrendered its grip bit by bit, and an expectancy filled the void. The garden they had envisioned whispered to him again, promising beauty if they dared to listen. "Let us breathe together," the priest encouraged, his voice steady and calming. "Inhale deeply, and, as we exhale, let us release our fears, giving them to God." The group obeyed, closing their eyes again and focusing on their breathing. Timothy took in the scents of the candles flickering in the corners of the room and felt the textures of their shared hope surrounding them. As he breathed in, he imagined pulling the true essence of their garden into his very being. And when he exhaled, he visualized the dark chill dissipating, scattering like dust in the light. What if Grace spoke softly? "This chill is a chance not to flee, but to embrace our fears." Like turning the soil to plant new seeds? A murmur of agreement swept through the group. Timothy's heart raced again, this time with excitement rather than dread. The garden was not just a place of delight. It was a vibrant metaphor for their very souls, needing balance between the warmth of faith and the darkness of doubt. "Yes," Timothy exclaimed, "every flower needs cultivations. Every cry for help can be a sign of growth. What if this moment is one of divine purpose?" The priest opened his eyes and smiled. "Exactly, Timothy. When darkness looms, it's a chance to strengthen our roots, to deepen our connection with God." He paused, a thoughtful look crossing his face. The trials we face aren't merely obstacles, they're invitations. Invites to draw nearer, to cling tightly to our faith. Timothy's thoughts raced. He could see the petals of their garden beginning to unfurl. The shadows had been an integral part of their journey. Perhaps there were questions to ask, revelations to discover hidden within those shadows. And yet, the atmosphere carried a yearning, a spiritual call. What if we could call upon divine characters to guide us? Proposed Sarah, her spirit rekindling. Not just in a metaphorical garden, but in our lives as we face each fear. The priest nodded gravely. "We are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses," he reminded them, referencing the faithful who'd gone before. "Let us embrace the unknown with the company of the saints and ask for their guidance in our journey." Timothy felt a stirring at the words. With each named saint, he envisioned them as vibrant blooms in their garden, each embodying a facet of grace. They could step alongside each other in whispered prayers against the dark. As the group began to call out names, Saint Michael for protection, Saint Teresa for love, Saint Jude for hopeless causes, Timothy felt a rush of warmth surging around them. The moment was electric. They were no longer alone. "I can feel their presence." Grace breathed, awestruck. The air shimmered, dancing with energy once again. But it was different now, richer and fuller. The chill that had once enveloped them had morphed into a comfort, a sacred embrace, as if the garden itself was breathing in tandem with them. Timothy nestled deeper into the vision. They were a collection of souls, colorful and unique yet intertwined. "We must keep seeking, keep asking," he whispered fiercely, like gentle gardeners laboring under the sun and rain. With newfound resolve, the energy of their prayers surged. Yet a quiet question nagged at the edges of Timothy's mind. What awaited them in the garden? What would spring forth from their united cries? As they held the sacred space alive, Timothy felt the edges of revelation tightening, weaving a story that was just beginning to unfold. The divine invitation beckoned them further into the mystery, a journey waiting to be embraced. And the heart of Timothy thudded in anticipation. What new chapters would their faith reveal as they dared to venture deeper into the uncharted garden of their spirits? Timothy's heart danced like the flickering candlelight scattered across the room. The energy pulsing within their circle felt alive, and he realized that their journey was more than just a garden. It was a sacred expedition. Little did they know, the garden of the soul was not merely a metaphor. but a reality hidden within each heart. As the warmth enveloped him, he sensed the invisible threads connecting each of them, woven tightly by shared hopes and whispered prayers. What if our fears are mere shadows? Timothy mused aloud, his voice steady. What if within these shadows, the very presence of God is waiting to show us a way? The priest nodded again, his eyes sparkling. Indeed, Timothy, in the depths of our fears lies potential and purpose. When we invite the saints into our fears, they illuminate the path ahead, like stars in a dark sky. We can trust that no fear is insurmountable when we surrender our hearts to God. There was a stillness that swept over them. Each person in the circle absorbed the truth, spoke in a realization that the heaviness they felt was not meant to crush them, but to lead them to freedom. Timothy closed his eyes and felt the ground beneath him becoming solid, as if the very earth was shifting to align with their purpose. "Let us sow seeds of prayer," Sarah encouraged, opening her hands as if to plant something precious into the ground. "Together, we can plant these seeds, worries, doubts, and fears so they can grow into something beautiful." One by one, they began to speak their fears, each word released like a seed flying into the air, landing softly in the garden of their souls. "Fear of failure," whispered John, his voice trembling. "Fear of rejection," Grace confessed, her eyes glistening with tears. "Fear of loneliness," Sarah admitted, her voice almost a whisper. Timothy took a breath, feeling the weight of each confession hang in the air. And then he added, "Fear of not being enough." A wave of affirmation washed over them, understanding that these fears were undeniably human, yet also were not the end of their story. The priest then led them in a prayer of transformation. "Lord, we offer these fears to you. We lay them at your feet, asking that you help us grow from them. Please, plant in us the seeds of courage and faith instead." With each word, Timothy felt a shift, a palpable energy rising within the group. Like rain nurturing the soil, their prayers brought comfort and clarity. He could visualize the fears dissolving, replaced by shimmering possibilities sprouting like fresh shoots, reaching for the light. Suddenly, the air cracked with an electrifying force, and the candles flickered more violently, as if the saints hovered around them, supporting their plea. A whisper seemed to echo from the depths of their gathering. "You are not alone. Embrace the strength within." Timothy opened his eyes, and in that moment his mind opened too. What if we asked God to show us the next step? He proposed eagerly. What if we invited the saints to guide us in real time? The priest smiled knowingly. Let us pose that question in prayer, and be still enough to hear the response. With their newfound focus, they fell silent, each feeling the quiet of the space and expectant hush where divine revelation waited. Timothy felt his heart racing in anticipation. Would they hear from the divine? What new wisdom would the garden of their faith reveal now? As they embraced the stillness, a pulse of light drifted through Timothy's mind, illuminating the way forward. Was this the beginning of their next chapter, or was it merely a prelude to something even greater? In the sacred silence, the true journey was beginning. What awaited them beyond this moment? As the silence wrapped around them like a gentle embrace, an air of expectancy thickened. Timothy sat still, his heart a chorus of nervous beats, mingling with the whispered prayers that hung heavily in the sacred space. He focused on the flickering candlelight, feeling the pulse of divine energy swirl through the room, binding them together in purpose. Suddenly, a soft breeze swept through, rustling the papers strewn across the table. Timothy's eyes flew open. "Did you feel that?" he asked, his voice a mixture of excitement and awe. Grace nodded with wide eyes. It felt like a whisper. "Something is moving among us." The priest leaned forward, his smile deepening. "The Spirit is indeed present. In moments like this, we can expect the unexpected." He closed his eyes again, breathing deeply as if he were drawing in courage with each inhale. Inspired, Timothy closed his eyes once more, longing to receive guidance. "Lord, show us our next steps," he prayed, pouring his heart into his words. Help us to understand the purpose of our fears and guide us to where you wish us to go. What happened next was a magnificent unfolding. The air shimmered with a golden light, illuminating the corners of the room and enveloping each person in a divine glow. Whispers of ancient hymns caressed their ears, reminding them of the heavens' affection. Timothy could feel the weight of eternity pressing in. "Look," Sarah gasped, pointing toward the garden displaying bursts of vibrant blossoms, as though responding to their prayers. Each flower seemed radiant with potential, an outward expression of the faith growing within them. "Every prayer is like a seed planted with intention," the priest said quietly. "Now, the garden responds to our faith." In wonder, Timothy's gaze shifted back to his companions, and he could see a light in their eyes reflecting a realization that had begun to blossom within. What if this is not just a moment? What if these flowers represent our journey ahead? He sensed the ground shifting, not merely beneath their feet, but within their hearts. What will grow from each of us? How will we change? John asked, a thrill rushing through him. "Perhaps we must be the caretakers of our gardens," Grace added, her voice shaking with emotion. "Nurturing these seeds our faith, our courage into the world." A gentle wind seemed to urge them forward, coaxing them to recognize the paths unfurling before them. Timothy felt a fire kindling within him. When we confront our fears and embrace the guidance of the saints, we reveal God's plan, he declared, feeling a sense of purpose well up. What if this is our calling right now, to grow together and share what we've learned? The atmosphere rippled with affirmation. Each of them was touched by conviction, renewed strength flickering like the candlelight that illuminated their gathering. Yet, beneath the joy was a nerve-wracking awareness. The world outside was full of shadows waiting to snuff out their flickering light. The priest's steady voice broke through the elation, grounding them. "As we step into the garden, remember that with every bloom comes the challenge of weeds. We must guard our spirits fiercely." "What do you mean by guarding our spirits?" Timothy asked, eager to delve deeper. The priest smiled, a glimmer of insight reflecting in his eyes. "In these days, the enemy prowls like a roaring lion, seeking to scatter the faithful. But with our arms of prayer, faith, and community, we can stand firm and flourish." Timothy felt a weight settle in his chest, a sense of urgency whispering through the garden of his soul. With each passing moment, he could almost hear the guiding voices of the saints rallying around him. What does it truly mean to guard our spirits? He wondered aloud. As an unexpected hush fell over them once more, Timothy realized they were on the edge of a revelation that would take their faith to another level, a calling too vital to ignore. What awaited them in the peaks of prayer and the depths of perseverance? In that sacred space, the mystery loomed larger than ever. With the weight of silence pressing upon them, Timothy closed his eyes tightly. He could sense an electric charge in the air, almost tangible, as if the universe itself was leaning in, waiting for their response. The flicker of the candles seemed to dance in rhythm with his heart, igniting a flame of curiosity deep within. "Perhaps guarding our spirits is about understanding our purpose," he murmured, barely above a whisper. Grace nodded slowly. "Yes, it must be something more than mere protection. It's nurturing, it's growth." As the light outside faded into twilight, the garden appeared to transform. The petals of the flowers seemed to sway gently as if caught in a divine song, singing a tune that soothed their restless hearts. The priest stood, his presence radiating calm confidence, and spoke with assurance. "The act of guarding isn't merely defensive. It's a call to action. We must act in faith and let our spirits overflow with love, just as these blossoms do. Each petal, each leaf, is a testament to God's grace." He gestured to the vibrant blooms surrounding them. They stand firm despite the winds that seek to uproot them. Timothy felt a flicker of understanding ignite. We are called to share this beauty, the beauty of our transformed spirits, with others. What if that is how we guard ourselves? By giving out of our abundance? Yes. Sarah interjected, her voice infused with excitement. By pouring out love, we not only tend to our garden, but we draw others to join us and tend their gardens too. It becomes a community of spirit. The priest smiled softly at their eagerness, his eyes shining with encouragement. You grasp the essence. To guard your spirit is to remain connected to the divine, to each other, and to the mission we are called to fulfill. As the breeze picked up outside, rustling the leaves in the garden, Timothy felt something awaken inside him. The burdens he had carried began to feel lighter, as if the wind was carrying them away. "What will we do when the storms come?" he asked, the seriousness of his tone infused with concern. "Ah, my dear Timothy," the priest responded, "in those very moments, it is our faith that acts as our shield. Stand firm in the promises of God. Speak His word into your spirit, and remember our spirit is invigorated through prayer, fellowship, and worship." Timothy loved this notion. It filled him with hope. So we should gather together. We can build each other up, sharing our stories and our revelations. Yes, each story is a thread in the fabric of faith, grace added passionately. And together, we weave a beautiful tapestry of His love. As they exchanged excited glances, Timothy's heart raced. In that moment, he realized the growing urgency of their call. The world beyond the garden walls was indeed uncertain, but so was the power they carried within. With God's grace, they could overcome any shadow that threatened to engulf them. The priest looked out toward the garden, illuminated by the soft glow of the dimming light. There is beauty in every struggle. When you share your journey, remember that your light can pierce the fog of confusion for someone else. You have the power to show the way. What resonated within them all was a deep reverence and understanding that their mission transcended mere survival. They were meant to thrive. In that moment, a rich sense of purpose settled over them like a warm blanket. Yet, doubt lingered at the edge of their thoughts like a mist waiting to roll in. Timothy couldn't shake the question that clung to him. What if we stumble along the way? What if we're not strong enough? As if answering his concern, the priest's gaze steadied on Timothy, filled with intensity. Even in moments of weakness, that's where grace abounds. Rely on one another. Lean into the power of community. Trust that God's plan is unfolding even when we cannot see it. Just then, an inexplicable warmth enveloped Timothy, filling him with a sense of clarity. He felt ready to step forward into the unknown armed with faith and the spirits of his companions. Ahead lay not only challenges, but also the promise of connection. They were poised on the brink of a new beginning, where their spirits could intertwine with purpose. As the evening deepened around them, Timothy felt an electric charge in his soul. He grasped the hands of his friends, grounding the divine essence they shared. Together, we can face whatever storms come our way. With that, the atmosphere shimmered anew, promising continued revelation. And in that sacred unity, Timothy couldn't shake the overwhelming notion that this was just the beginning. What challenges truly awaited them beyond the garden doors? As the last echoes of their conversation faded into a heavy stillness, Timothy's heart pounded with a mixture of anticipation and devotion. Their circle pulsed with sacred energy, as if the very foundation of their faith was poised for a monumental leap. The priest's words lingered like a fragrant incense, wrapping around each of them, urging them to reflect on what lay ahead. "Tonight, we embrace the truth," the priest declared, his gaze sweeping over his companions. "The divine calls us to not only be nurturers of our gardens, but also to serve as lights for those wandering in darkness." Timothy felt the heaviness of that call press upon him like a warm blanket. Each of them was a unique flower, crafted by grace, waiting to bloom in a world that desperately needed their colors. The shadows outside would tempt them to retreat, but together they could illuminate even the darkest corners. "Let us ask for courage," Sarah suggested softly, her voice breaking the silence. "Courage to step outside this garden and bring hope to others." The group nodded in fervent agreement. Hands clasped tighter and hearts synchronized as they bowed their heads in collective prayer. Timothy breathed deeply, feeling the air swell with a vibrancy that spoke of transformation, a spiritual metamorphosis, merely waiting for the right moment. Lord, grant us the courage to be vessels of your light, to share our stories, and to nurture faith in those who suffer, he prayed, his voice resonating with conviction. May we forge ahead, overcoming our fears, to declare your presence in this world. In that instant, a radiant glow enveloped their gathering, filling the room with warmth. Timothy opened his eyes to witness golden lights hovering, almost like stars blurring into existence within the walls of the cozy living room. Those heavenly whispers brought clarity to their purpose, igniting an unwavering trust. Each of you embodies a story, the priest said, his eyes dancing with enthusiasm. You are not alone in your journey. Each bloom represents someone you might reach with your narrative, someone whose darkness can yield to the light that flickers within you. The words wrapped around them like a woven tapestry, threads of purpose intertwining, connecting them deeper than ever before. Timothy looked at his friends. He saw the courage flickering in their eyes, radiant and fierce as wildfire. They were equipped, not just to survive, but to thrive in the face of adversity. As if drawn by an invisible force, they began to speak, one by one, their hearts spilling forth. I will share my story of struggles with anxiety, Grace voiced, her cheeks flushed yet determined. If my journey can inspire even one soul to seek help, it will be worth everything. I will tell my tale of resilience through loss, John said, emboldened. I believe that others trapped in grief need to know that healing is possible. Timothy felt his own resolve strengthen. I will speak about my journey of wrestling with faith and doubt, he declared, each syllable hinting at the raw emotion within him. Others need to know that it's okay to wrestle, that God honors our questions. With hearts aflame and spirits entwined, the urgency of their awakening became palpable. Each commitment was like a seed roots clinging deeply within the soil of their community. They were chosen for a reason, divinely appointed. Each story echoed with the potential to touch lives beyond their own. Suddenly, the room brightened as if lit by an unseen force, charging the atmosphere with joy. Timothy felt acutely aware of the evening drawing closer, the changing shadows a reminder of the unknown that awaited them. They had stepped through the threshold of a sacred promise, where every step toward vulnerability ignited hope. What may come will challenge us, the priest cautioned gently, but trust that divine grace flows abundantly. Rest assured, your faith will be fortified through every trial. And with those words, Timothy felt the stirring deep within him, a transformative energy urging him to trust in the unfolding journey. Glory awaited around each bend if they dare to persist. Gathering himself, Timothy smiled at his group, their shared conviction lifting the very atmosphere around them. Together, we will guard our spirits, dance in the light, and share our truths. And yes, we'll tremble at times, but we will never falter, for we emerge as warriors of faith. With that declaration, the candles flickered vibrantly, illuminating their faces like heavenly beacons, and the air shimmered with divine resonance. As they stepped beyond the threshold of fear, a question loomed on the horizon of their collective hearts. How bright could their light shine when they embraced the power of their unified stories? Where would their faith carry them when shadows loomed large, yet hearts remained bound together in love? It was an invitation to the unfolding adventure, a sacred launch into the unknown, carving destiny with each courageous proclamation. And as twilight settled softly outside, they rose hand in hand, spirit intersecting with spirit, drawing strength not just from their individual stories, but from the blossoming garden they had nurtured together. This was their moment. The dawn of transformation awaited on the cusp of a sacred journey filled with miracles, struggles, and profound revelations together in faith. The chosen ones emerging from the garden into a world illuminated by love. As they each took that first step, feet grounded in the promises of God, they were no longer merely individuals. They were a relentless community, destined to spread light in every darkened corner of life. Now, dear friends, it's your time to respond. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, helping us spread the light further. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. We want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation of divine love. You need to take action now. True servants of God understand the importance of supporting our mission through these essential steps. Don't wait even one more second.